Good evening and welcome to the February 23rd, 2021st of the year. However, I said that wrong, but you know this is February 23rd, 2021 year. To the meeting of the Leon County School Board. We are meeting in the Aquilina Howell Center at 3955 West Pensacola Street. Our opening item calls for our student school board member, Ms. Asha Harris, to introduce the students who will be providing us with the Pledge of Allegiance, and the student who will be presenting us the thought of the day. Ms. Harris?
Reading the pledge, we have Kevin Bryant. He attends Appalachian Tapestry Magnet School of the Arts, is in 5th grade, and is accompanied by his mom, Mrs. Ashley Bryant, his principal, Ms. Ricardo, assistant principal, Dr. Jones, and his school activities consist of vice president of SGA, lead role in the school play. He's interested in all sports, exploring technology, being a brother, and being a doctor.
Wow. All right. There he is. You should stand.
Would you all please stand up?
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Reading the thought of the day, we have Piper Fairbanks. She also attends Appalachian Tapestry Magnet School of the Arts, is in 5th grade, and is accompanied by her mom, Miss Fairbank, Mr. Williamson, her principal, Mrs. Ricardo, and assistant principal, Dr. Jones. Her school activities are music theater, dance, and student government. Her honors consist of student president, Star News anchor, and AB honor roll. She's interested in music theater, dancing, softball, and acting.
Hi, my name is Piper, and I would like to thank you for allowing me to bring you the thought of the day. Today, I would like everyone to remember how important kindness is and how it influences our world. As you go about your day, remember that kindness is free, so sprinkle it everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Piper. You've done an absolutely wonderful job. Thank you, parents and principals. Would you wave, please, so that we can see that you're here? Thank you for bringing these stars out with us tonight. And, of course, you are absolutely welcome to stay with us throughout this meeting. But should you decide to go in case you have homework or there's some other things you want to do, we understand. We're proud of you. Good job as well, Ms. Harris. All right, any further comments?
I'd also like to echo,
Yes.
Madam Chair, what you said, and to thank these young future leaders, or current leaders really, are both involved in
Absolutely.
student government at Appalachian Magnet School, and will continue to do great things. I hope you continue to be involved in student government activities in middle school and in high school. It's like the senior or the student body rep we have, Ms. Harris. One day you guys will be sitting up here on the dais like Ms. Harris is tonight. So we can't thank you enough for your leadership and all that you have done to show the future Appalachian elementary school students the way to the future, right? That
Right.
You can lead by example, and you're certainly doing that. So we're very appreciative of you all coming tonight, and thank you, parents, for driving all the way out here to Never Never Land to share your students with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well said, Mr. Superintendent. And now we move on to item 2, changes and additions to the agenda. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Superintendent. Changes and additions, public content. The superintendent recommends approval of changes and additions to the February 23rd, 2021 school board agenda as presented. Item 7.04, approval of personnel actions, February 23rd, 2021. Replace documentation and make changes to the language in the public content section of the item.
Is there a motion for
Move
acceptance? Move by Woods, second by Strickland. Questions? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Changes and additions are adopted. And now the Superintendent Spotlight. Mr. Superintendent.
Madam Chair, if I may, tonight's kind of bittersweet for me, I think for all of us. Several months ago, we read about the retirement of Miss Altamise Barnes, just an amazing member of our community, has been the overseer and caretaker of the John D. Riley House for many, many, many years, a place where every year all of our fourth graders go to visit to learn about African American history right here in our local community, and she's just amazing. And although we are a bit sad by her retirement, we're very excited for wherever her next adventure is in life. And just, Ms. Barnes, I just love you to death and can't thank you enough for all that you've done to inspire the thousands and thousands of children in our school district each and every year. And every year I would go visit our fourth graders, and they would literally bring that part of our history to life. And it was such a special time for those groups of students as we embrace African American History Month. But again, Ms. Barnes has always been a big part of it. So at this time, would you like to come and maybe say a few words? And we have some parting gifts for you as well, Ms. Barnes.
You may not need this step. That's right.
Thank you so much. And I tell people, I'm not sure if everybody got the message yet or not, because I seem to be as busy now as before September 28th. But it's a joy, a pleasure, always to share the rich history of our community. And whenever I'm somewhere and they're talking about what school districts are exemplary or not when it comes to the Florida statute, I'm always one of the first to speak out and say, well, Leon County Schools is one of the exemplary districts because we have African American history, African American activities, not only in Black History Month, but 365 days. And so I'm just so appreciative to the school district, the superintendents and school board members through the years for being there to help us continue to do. And there will be no difference. We say we are seamless. It's a seamless transition. So you will continue to hear from us. In fact, Dr. Kathleen Rogers and others, and Vice Chair Jones and Chairman Bowen and others. I was just thanking Roseanne for helping with the Swift Creek movement of that piece over to Railroad Square. But anyway, and it was divine intervention tonight. I went looking for a brooch, something to put on to hold my scarf, and popped out with this that says, history in your hands. History in our hands. And School Board Member Dara Jones, I'm already stealing from your line. We are knitting the generations with history. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, I know you're looking strange and most passionate because I know there's something you want to say.
We were doing the presentation. I didn't know what our order was.
Well, there's not. We do have a wonderful plaque for Miss Barnes and some flowers we'd like to present her. If you want to say a few words, and then we'll present her and take a picture, or whatever your pleasure is.
Let's say the few words first.
All right,
please.
there you go. Say a few words first.
All right. Mr. Jones, would you like to start the few words and others may chime in?
I'm delighted to go first, so thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Ms. Barnes, Mrs. Barnes, I am just so grateful for what I know will be our continuing work on behalf of our Leon County schools. As many of you will recall, when I wrote that column about knitting the histories of the original Lincoln School started by Freedmen back in 1865, the source of all of the information was Mrs. Barnes. In fact, Dr. Gale just convened us just a week ago, and we'll be convening in subsequent meetings to make that occur, such that we do not lose that rich legacy, and that we will be able to, like children will be able to do like our superintendent said, how his parents and his grandparents went to Leon. Well, we will be able to say the same thing about Lincoln High School, and that will be because of the great influence that she will have in that project. And then we'll also are continuing our work with Emancipation Day on May 20th and integrating that special day and that golden moment in our history. Again, Mrs. Barnes, who's helping to make that, facilitate that on our behalf. And then, and you'll appreciate this, Mrs. Bowen, she is a fantastic resource for information regarding our schools.
Absolutely.
And how they were founded, and schools that no longer exist, but milestones and markers still exist. And so I'm grateful that although you may be retired, that you still care about our Leon County schools, that you will always be a faculty member, a distinguished faculty member of our Leon County schools, having started at the original Lincoln High School, and that and if I may go biblical, thou art indeed, madam, a master teacher sent from God, and we are grateful for you. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Other comments? I'm taught that a good chair speaks last, so I'm going to be.
I just hate following him.
I'll say something real
Learn my
quick.
lesson.
All right
I
then,
just wanna-
Ms. Wood.
Thank you, Althemise, Ms. Barnes. You have just done remarkable things in your life, and Mr. Jones is always talking about leaving a legacy, and you certainly are leaving a legacy with not only the Riley House, but I remember, of course, when I was a principal, we worked together on Blended Lives, and I thought that was such a fine program for our secondary students, and so thank you for that and all the many, many things you've done over the years. We really all appreciate it so much.
Yes. Ms. Barnes? Oh, I don't mean to tear up the... Sorry, Denver. Yes, we did get the word that you were retiring. But we know that you're not going to be far away from us, and so we just want to thank you for the leadership that you have exhibited throughout the years, and you'll be in there as a steady source undergirding what we do when we look at the historical facts of African American history in this county. So as a member of the Riley House Board, I want you to know that I sincerely appreciate the kinship, the friendship, and the leadership that you've shown through the years. And I know that there are some things in the works that you will be working with the board on, and so we look forward to your being a part of that as well. You were mentioning that Leon County Schools is an exemplary district, and we are. We worked that through the Department of Education a few years ago, and at the last board meeting we were talking about whether or not Leon County Schools continues to infuse African American history into the curriculum every day. And certainly I do believe that is the truth. I was talking to Dr. Gale, and she prepared for me a listing of what is happening in our schools, and I thought, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad we have this listing. But a listing is one thing. What actually goes on in the schools is another. And so I do believe that we have much going on in our schools to talk about the achievements and the contributions of African Americans beyond that of the month of February. And much of that is because of what you have done through the years to make certain that this kind of activity continues to happen. So I am going to respect your retirement, but just have you know that we're taking you up on you're not very far away. Okay? Thank you. And so now
we want to gather for a team picture, and like they said, we're not going to let you go far. So
right.
Black for you, Miss Barnes. And I'm going to go to the podium.
Okay. Might want to come up to the podium, I think. Don't you think, Mrs. Superintendent, up here, you reckon?
Yeah, so
for the picture?
In recognition and appreciation of your continued years of dedicated service, devotion, and commitment to Leon County Schools, February 23rd, 2021, Leon County School Board and School Superintendent. I would give you a big hug, right? I know. But I want to hug you.
Thank you.
All right. So
Thank you.
Why don't you come up here and we'll take a picture?
Thank you. Yeah, because I do push it back. We're going to be as social distance as we can.
Got 'em? All right.
Where's Chris? Oh, we got to do Chris. Should we turn in like this, you think? What do you need? You're fine. You're fine as is. I'm going to take a couple on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be smiling with our eyes. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yes, soon. For the gala. All righty.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Wood.
while we're recognizing historic people in this community, I would just like to say a word about Miss Virginia Lawrence. Many of you know Virginia, who passed away this week.
Right.
And I just wanted to hold her name out. She was a fine educator in this school district, a colleague with Aquilina Howell. They always were stirring up trouble together. And she's just a fine woman that was in the district office. She was at the school. She was with the gifted program. She was with the arts.
She was.
Just a really wonderful woman in our school system, and wanted to just bring her name up tonight.
Right. And I thank you for doing that, Ms. Woods. I was going to say that as well. We were church members and good friends as well. But she dedicated many years, as you just said, to this county to help us be who we are today.
She did.
And was a good friend. Great. Wonderful. Okay.
If I may also add, and we
Yes.
lift up her husband,
John.
John Lawrence, who is also an icon in this district
Yes.
and in this community.
That's right.
And we pray for her soul, and we pray for his strength during these times of bereavement.
This is true.
Thank you.
This is true. Thank
I
you.
enjoyed really getting to know them over the last 4 or 5 years. What an amazing pair, and they had so much influence. And Mr. Lawrence being the former principal at Godby High School, and
That's
just
right.
have certainly left that family has left that legacy on our school district forevermore. And just we were very blessed and fortunate to have them as a part of our history.
Right.
So,
Right.
speaking of history, I did receive notice today that Montfort Middle School has created an African American History Museum in their media center. So I'm going to go tomorrow, and evidently I can sit on the bus beside Rosa Parks and have my picture taken. So I'm very excited about that opportunity tomorrow. So as all of our schools celebrate in their own way this year, Montfort is doing something really special. So if you're in the neighborhood, stop by Montfort and visit their museum.
Absolutely. Thank you, Montfort. All right. We move along now to number 5, persons to be heard. I think we have one, right, Ms. Williams?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have one email that was sent to the persons to be heard at leonschools.net email address. That email has been forwarded to all board members, and it is listed or added. It's been added to this agenda item. In addition, we have one speaker.
All right.
Mr. Anthony DeMarco. If you could please come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Anthony DeMarco, Tallahassee, Florida. On January 26th, I sent an email to Superintendent Hannah, the board, and Dr. Cox inquiring why the district COVID dashboard hadn't been updated in 6 days. I also noted there were 5 COVID cases at Swift Creek missing from the 19th and attached the notification. I'd like to read out for the community, the board, and the public record Hannah's response to me. Mr. DeMarco, I'm responding to you and you only. I really wish you would put this much time and energy into your son's education. Your obsession on topics like this have nothing to do with him attending classes and making progress. Montfort Middle School has literally bent over backwards to help you, but you refuse to engage. Meanwhile, your son is falling further and further behind. From the beginning of the year, your son has shown the technological capability of attending his classes, but has gone missing for months. By this email, you are confirming the same capability. Mr. DeMarco, I don't want to fight with you, but it saddens me that your young son is falling through the cracks while you focus on our COVID-19 dashboard or who you're supporting politically. Please know we are here to help. I have not mentioned my child at any time to this point. Hannah lied when he stated my child has gone missing for months. My child didn't even have 30 cumulative absences. I have extensive email communication between Montfort and myself, and the fact is, due to Hannah's failure to properly prepare our children, my son did not have a working PC until October 1st. Mr. Hannah's response to me was disrespectful and completely out of line. He also neglected to acknowledge anything in my original email. Hannah's conduct is a clear violation of Policy 3210, Standards of Ethical Conduct. It is my hope the board will hold him accountable for this offense. The school board and superintendent hold the highest expectations for the conduct of all employees of the district. It is expected that employees will be of good moral character and demonstrate conduct as an employee that is at all times appropriate and consistent with the high standards that the board and community expect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeMarco.
No more speakers, Madam
No
Chair.
more speakers? Okay. Reports to be heard. No District Advisory Council report, no Student Advisory Council report, but we do have a Title I Advisory Council. Ms. Talitha Edwards, who I believe is online, will give us her report right now. Ms. Edwards? Ms. Edwards?
Yes,
Hello.
good afternoon, Superintendent and school board members. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I won't be long. I know that there's a long agenda tonight. The TAC has continued its monthly meetings, but I just want to bring your attention to the letter that we sent over to the legislature. We emailed that. Marie sent that over to you yesterday, so you all should have a copy of this letter. And in the letter, we addressed our concerns about FSA testing continuing to move forward in our state. And we know about not holding the districts harmless. But in the letter, we addressed one, that the kids had been out of school for a full year last year, and that even with progress monitoring and doing everything that the teachers are well equipped to do, they would not be prepared to test. We addressed the issue of students who are in the digital academy having to enter the building and potentially risk contracting COVID or actually spreading COVID to teachers, which would impact the community and families. That our Title I schools have been the hardest hit communities from COVID as well. And I saw an article this morning posted in a Facebook group about testing, and the state could require a waiver. Could request a waiver, and that most likely our state was not going to request that waiver. Last week I inquired because I just wanted to learn a little bit more about all what was going on. I lead a parent group statewide that also have some concerns. And what I discovered is that in our state particularly, the Superintendent Association is asking DOE for this testing. The 67 superintendents across the state want to have testing so that they can gather data for many reasons, right? I haven't been given a call back by the president of that association.
I think she's frozen. Are you there? I shouldn't say frozen. I think she's not able to speak. All right. So, Ms. Edwards, if you're able to get back with us, we'd love to have you do so. If not, we may have to come back at another time. I'm sure Mr. Lee and others are trying to do what we need to do to bring you back if that is in our opportunity of power to do so. If not, then I think what we will do, school board members, is move along with the agenda. Is she back? Okay. Then we will move on to item 6.04, Exceptional Student Education Advisory Council. Casey Marshall, the Vice Chair, are you there?
I am here, yes.
We'd love to hear from you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm here to give you guys a little bit of an update regarding our last meeting that we had. We had our meeting Monday, January 25th of 2021. Our next meeting is March 29th, and our final meeting for the school year will be May 17th. On May 17th, we will hold an election for the chair members for the next school year. In regards to this last meeting, we went over the need for more voting members. We have 4 open spots for voting members within the ESE District Advisory Council.
Mm-hmm.
And we would really like to have a diverse group of members. And we are needing more members from District 3 represented by Mr. Darrell Jones, and District 5, represented by Mrs. Joy Bowen. We do have 2 applications to consider going towards one of those 4 spots. Unfortunately, one does represent District 5 in Sealy Elementary School, I do believe, is where that one is. Kathy has reached out to the principals several times with the voting membership application, and our membership committee chairperson has reached out to the ESE teacher in District 3, but we haven't had any luck recruiting applications as a result of our attempts to spread the word. It would be wonderful if all school board members can forward names and contact information of parents wanting to participate, whether through just attending meetings or desiring to become voting members. We need to increase our general audience overall, so we will continue to have parents to draw from as people need to move on or can't fulfill their 2-year term commitments as a voting member. If you guys have that information, please let us know. We will provide the email address to send that information to. In our last meeting, we had some great presentations from the Florida Inclusion Network and the Florida Disabled Outdoor Association, and of course, Leon County Schools, Kathy Shields. Let's see, we have 4 committees that we are working with. We've created a social networking committee where we have a social media presence. We have a website as well as a Facebook page and Facebook group. We have a community collaboration committee that is chaired by Shayla Lunsford, and a legislative and policy committee that is headed by Keith Berry, and the membership committee with Brooke sorry. For some reason, the pronunciation of her last name has gotten away from me. But Brooke is the individual who we need to email with any membership information that we have. And as I said, the officer elections for the 21-22 school year will be in the final meeting for May 17th. I know I went to that quickly, but do you guys have any questions?
Are you a citizen member of this committee?
I am. Well, I'm the vice chair. I head the social networking committee, and I am a mother of 3 special needs children.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Thank you. We appreciate what you're doing. Ms. Rasmussen?
Just very briefly to thank you and to ask you to convey our appreciation to all of your committee members. We've added advisory councils in several key areas over the past few years, and it is imperative, I believe, for us to have your input and your expertise to help us continue to make good decisions in the areas in which we may not have that kind of expertise or personal experience. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. And again, we do thank you for the work that you do. And we did hear that from District 5 and District 3, you do not have representation on that committee. And
that is correct.
That is correct. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We will see.
I'll speak to the staff person who staffs this committee because I was unaware of the opportunity.
Well, the invitation is there, and I'm certain that it is being heard by superintendent staff as well tonight. So thank you very much, ma'am, for what you do. Moving along to 6.05, Early Learning Leon Advisory Council, Brooke Bruner.
Hi, good evening, board members, superintendent. Kim Seineath is our chair for Early Learning Leon. She had a family emergency this evening and could not join us, so I am standing in for her. So just a few things to report on this evening. We continue to hold our monthly Early Learning Leon meetings, and I just wanted to say a special thank you to Mr. Jones for popping in on our last meeting. We always enjoy having visitors and staff members to join in on our collaborative efforts. So I'm happy to report that we have our earlylearningleon.com website up and running, and that provides several resources to parents of children 0 to age 5. It helps with providing them with navigating quality childcare, accessing developmental milestone resources, and a myriad of several other resources that might be beneficial to them. In addition to that, we've been working really hard with our literacy initiative, beginning at the end of this week, and probably will spill over into next week. I will be delivering literacy bags to 81 VPK providers in Tallahassee. Each student will receive a book with a Beyond the Book activity page that will assist parents with an appropriate read aloud. We partnered with FCRR and their Read Up initiative to create the activities that go along with this particular title, which is Every Little Thing. That's our book for this month, Every Little Thing. And so, in addition to that, in the literacy bag is information to get parents geared up and excited about kindergarten registration and gearing up for enrollment for kindergarten 2021. And so that kind of leads me into our next initiative, which is our kindergarten transition campaign. So I have been working very closely with Heather Thomas and Susan Mayfield to develop a logo campaign. So that it will be something that's easily recognizable by our community. Our goal here is to have something that we can sustain, and so that it becomes, when our community sees the logo and sees the branding that goes along with that, they know it's time to start gearing up and getting ready to enroll for kindergarten. So last year we moved to a district-wide kindergarten orientation date, so that way the community could all be on the same page with knowing that they needed to tune in to their home zone school's webpage. We did that virtually last year. We anticipate doing the same exact thing this year. So I think that we have that date ready to roll out. I want to make sure that it's been communicated to principals before I say it here tonight. But I think that we're ready to roll that out, and we'll be getting that information out to the community. Next steps will be gathering information from our parents so that we can help their child have a successful kindergarten transition. So that we will collect that information by way of a survey. And then finally, starting in April-ish, parents will be able to begin the enrollment process for their kindergarten student. And we really want to encourage them to take care of that early, to start gathering those documents right away, and so that they can establish their enrollment for their kindergarten student at their home zone school. We are working closely with our Early Learning Coalition. Our goal is to establish a memorandum of understanding, data share agreement, so that we can work a little bit more closely with our VPK providers. They collect a lot of information on our students while they go through VPK, but that information isn't available to us. And so our kindergarten students and our principals start knowing very little about these 5-year-olds that are coming to us. And so we want to make sure that we have everything in place to help our families to be successful, to help that child be successful. And there's a wealth of information that our early learning coalitions can share with us. So I'm working really closely with Liz Murphy, the executive director of the Early Learning Coalition, to get that data share agreement off the ground. So that concludes our information on Early Learning Leon for this evening.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Superintendent, first of all, I want to say that I'm always continually amazed at the great work that Brooke Bruner and her team are doing. Mm-hmm. I remember when you started this initiative, and we all know that when you create something new like this, there's that time where you are building, but it seems as if They have jumped out of the chute with programming and activity that I know that is ultimately going to be impactful, and we're going to be able to see the return on investment of this type of attention by an administrator and a staff person. I mean, a person, a part of the executive team devoted to this important work. So I want to congratulate you and thank you for putting the emphasis here and creating this. I'm also remain interested in the important collaborations that this committee has helped to create, particularly with early learning. The fact that we are talking with this important group in such an important way, it's going to mean a great deal for our kids. I am also interested when we talk about, when it comes to early learning, there's another piece in that puzzle that is Head Start. And when we talk about what has been the diminishing, what we have seen has been an issue of our children's preparedness for kindergarten. There are a great number of children that are served by Head Start. And I know at present, Head Start is being managed by the Capital Area Community Action Agency. And when I was a member of the Kids Inc. board, I happen to know that Head Start is a competitive grant. And if we really want to weigh in, there is also another valuable opportunity made available through our making application for Head Start, because then we also bring to bear federal resources to what is our already existing work in early learning. And I think if we're going to really make a difference, I think we need to, every opportunity we have to be engaged, we should look into that. I don't know if Ms. Bruner has thought about that or has done that type of research or investigation. But I know it is a worthwhile opportunity for the district. And then finally, I'm interested in knowing what will be our continuing conversation relative to the Leonard Wesson space. I know you'll be providing us with updates as you continue to talk with South City Foundation, but then I also think that we are also well served by possibly by competitive opportunities in terms of how we might be able to best utilize that space. So I just want to, I guess I'm grateful for what you're doing, the progressive work that you're evidencing in this area. It's an issue of great importance to me because it impacts my little ones, most specifically where we have these early learning challenges that in terms of kindergarten preparedness. But I just want to tell you, I just think you're doing a great job, and your infectious enthusiasm for the work is certainly already reaping dividends for us. So thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair, so Board Member Jones, great minds truly do think alike, and I'm not talking about my mind and your mind, but your mind and Ms. Bruner's mind, because we have had that discussion already about the Head Start issue and that grant and what role we could potentially play in the future. So she is ahead of you. I would say I'm ahead of you. She's just dragging me along for the ride. But we have had that discussion, and as you well know, we have full intent and purposes to maximize our potential at the Wesson School. Also signed into an agreement with the South City Foundation for some of that property for them to have available to that group as we look to expand pre-K opportunities throughout our entire district and to make the space we have available. And COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench into our plans, but we're weathering the storm, and I think Ms. Bruner has a good plan moving forward for Wesson and then well into the future. So I echo what he said. I got Brooke right, so that's at least two things I've done right in the last 4 years. But we're very excited about the future of early learning and the opportunities that we have with community partners.
And one last thing, I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge this. I don't want anyone to think this is my original idea. It comes from, I first heard this type of conversation attending Title I Advisory Committee meetings. There is a wealth of information and insight on that committee of those citizens. It is a great committee. Their conversations are substantive. They're really thinking outside the box, and I'm delighted to share that information with my colleagues after having attended that meeting. Is that something that's be further down the road, but I just wanted to put that out there as a potential option for us moving forward and to continue the great work of this committee. And I'm not picking my foot off the gas on culturally relevant curriculum either. But thank you for the great work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Ms. Bruner. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for the wonderful work and the opportunity to even press forward with ideas for pre-K educational opportunities. Ms. Edwards, I think, is back now. Talitha?
And one more thing, we got to make certain, we got to make sure that Brooke Bruner gets those crayons we had a few weeks ago for her little ones.
Yeah, all right. All right, Miss Edwards, I think I heard that you were back with us.
Yes, ma'am, I'm back.
Great, we're happy. Continue, please.
All right, very quick, wrapping up. I don't know where I stopped, where you heard me, but I was talking about last week having conversations with some of the lawmakers that represent our district. And, talking about this letter, what I was ending on is that we know that it is the will of the Superintendent Association to actually have FSA testing move forward in our state, because some of the superintendents in our state want to gather data. And so what I was saying is that there's much advocacy needed around school reform, testing reform. There's a lot of people working in this area and attending, legislative session and committee meetings. But parents, those flesh and bloods who are actually being affected by this, I think serves as the best advocates to really shine light on how these things are affecting us. And we know right now, with so many pieces of legislation in play right now that they're trying to get passed, that more and more funding is being taken away from our public schools. So I invite you all as a school board to get involved. I'm doing some state level work with other parents across the state, and I'm very committed to how it affects our district as the chair of the Title I Advisory Council and other parents. Marie Claire, we hear from her all the time. She's our legislative expert on all these things that are happening. But I would love for us to become more engaged as I try to corral parents to get involved and really share the stories, because that's really what moves legislators. When they see votes and constituents line up as numbers, they begin to think about their seats, that we then begin to see things change. So we can't let big state agencies and organizations speak for us. We got to begin to really educate parents, equip them, and empower them to actually take a hand in what's actually going on. So thank you for this time. I don't want to hold up any more meetings. Any questions?
And you are not holding up this meeting. We wanted to hear from you. Your voice is an important one, as we thank you for the work that you do as the chair of this Title I Advisory Committee.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Wood, yes?
Thank you. I'm so glad you were able to come back, Ms.
Yes.
Edwards. And just so you know, we had a long discussion in yesterday's workshop about testing and what the new executive order by the commissioner has said about the requirement for us to do testing in the spring. And something I was really heartened to hear the superintendent say is that even though they want us to bring in students, and every student will be eligible to come into the school and take the test, that there's not going to be any overt or covert pressure on parents and on students who have been at home in the digital academy. If they don't feel comfortable coming in, there's not going to be pressure on them to come in and test. And I think that's a strong message that we all want to send, is that this is an opportunity to test, but it is not going to be pushed down people's throats if they don't feel comfortable with that. So, Superintendent, if you want to reiterate that, but you said it yesterday.
I mean, the same thing, right? And I appreciate those comments, and I've told our principals this. We're going to give families choices and options, which is what we've been doing the entire school year. And once we open up these windows, if they so choose, if they want to come in to take these assessments, we welcome them with open arms, like we do every single day for students like Miss Harris that goes to Child's High School. But for those that don't, then it's a personal decision, and we are not going to pressure, we're not going to force, we're not going to try to use any undue influence to force children to come to school that don't feel comfortable. So those that wish to come, great. We'd love to have you test. If not, and I've told our folks this about school grades, and y'all people here may disagree, but I could care less. I really could care less. All of us want to get safely through this school year. It's been a long 6 months. We do see the finish line ahead of us, and now is not the time to let our guard down. But with standardized testing, again, it will be a personal choice by those students and their families.
So, Mr. Superintendent, outside of the announcements here tonight, and you're talking with principals, will there be other venues by which you will let parents know where you are with this non-pressuring of students to come in?
I think that's a good point. And I see, Ms. Gregory's jumped on, and Jillian, feel free to weigh in. But my staff and my team understands my philosophy that's aligned with you, Ms. Wood, and I feel others on this board about how we feel about giving families options, that there will be zero undue pressure. And I mean this, and I've said this to our teachers. I could care less, honestly, about the standardized testing. And we just want our children safe. We want our community safe. We do want to be able to gather what data we can, either through state assessments or through progress monitoring, to be able to make informed decisions over the course of the summer and the fall, how to account for the academic regression that has occurred over the course of the last year. All in all, although our district, it's not perfect, I think we are in a position much better than many other districts across the country, and we'll just continue to do the work we started back in August.
Okay. Ms. Gregory, did I see you wanting to say something, or are you just there? No? Okay. My bad. As children say, my bad, Miss Rasmussen.
My bad.
Well, when you're around them, you start to,
Anyway, thank you, Ms. Edwards. I didn't mean to get off, but you brought up testing, and I just want you to know that we are, discussing this and concerned about it, and, are going to be advocating, or at least I am, against awarding any sort of school grades this year because it's just completely unfair to the schools, way too much pressure to our teachers and our principals, and it's just not a reasonable request. So I hope we can all speak with one voice about that issue.
Absolutely. And I think I see head nods all around, not trying to offer any other comments except for myself right now. I'm with that thought. And yours, Mr.
Madam
Superintendent. Mr. Jones.
I'd also like for us, if we could facilitate their advocacy in some way. Just want to put that out there.
Okay.
As she's described it, what we've all, I believe, seen the letter that has come from TAC. But if there's any other ways that we could possibly facilitate their advocacy, I think that would be worthwhile here in the shadow of the Capitol.
Absolutely. Don't throw away. Okay. Seeing no other comments about that, except to thank you again, Ms. Edwards, for the outstanding work that you do and for keeping the feet to the fire. Do I hear you? Oh, you just saying thank you? Was that? Okay. Thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you and your work. All right, Mr. Superintendent, students working against tobacco. The annual report. I think that's where we are
Yes, I
right
believe
now.
we have Mr. Fagan on with us tonight. There he is, right there. So, Mr. Fagan, the floor is yours. And thank you so much for all that you do in our schools to help promote this cause and helping our students working against tobacco. And just very thankful to have you involved and embedded in our school system.
Thank you. Well, good evening, Superintendent Handa and the assistant superintendents and board members. My name is Daryl Fagan. I'm the health educator and SWAT coordinator of the Leon County SWAT chapter, which is administered through the Leon County Health Department Tobacco Prevention Unit. And over the past several months, in coordination and working with Dr. Gale and the Leon County Schools policy team, we conducted our K-12 assessment survey of the Leon County Schools tobacco-free school environment policy and identified several recommendations for improvement. Each of our policy recommendations comes from the Public Health Law Center model tobacco-free schools policy, which we're putting together have put together for your consideration, together with SWAT, which is Students Working Against Tobacco, a student-led club currently in several Leon County middle and high schools, and which is also Florida's statewide youth organization working to mobilize, educate, and equip Florida's youth to revolt against and deglamorize big tobacco. Tonight, I have 4 students with me tonight who are going to appear before you with an appeal and a request that you consider our recommendations for updating the Leon County Schools tobacco-free environment policy. And so joining me tonight to present policy recommendations are several students from our SWAT clubs here locally in Leon County Schools who will present a recommendation. And of course, the recommendations they'll present is just a piece of what we have to offer. Okay. And Gabby?
Hi, I'm Gabby Bell from Montford Middle School. My SWAT advisor is Mrs. Kristen Holquin, and I joined SWAT because my sister was in it and it sounded like fun. We need to update the definition of tobacco to cover new products. Big Tobacco is always working on new products to trick people into getting addicted, and our definition for tobacco doesn't cover some of them, especially ones that use synthetic nicotine. Based on the definition we have now, the policy wouldn't cover newer nicotine products like Zyn or Velo. Zyn and Velo are nicotine pouch products, which use synthetic nicotine powder instead of tobacco leaf. We can update our definition for tobacco to make sure it includes any product that contains nicotine. Make sure the policy is clear and specific about who it applies to. The policy is not clear about who it applies to. We recommend adding a sentence showing that the policy applies to students, staff, and visitors.
Hi, my name is Liliana Bell from Montford Middle School, and my SWAT advisor is Mrs. Kristen Holquin. I joined SWAT because my brother was in it and I wanted to be a part of it. The policy recommendations for Leon County schools are to ban the acceptance of gifts from tobacco companies. Big Tobacco tries to give schools gifts, especially bad tobacco prevention curriculum, to make them look good. The policy should ban gifts like these from tobacco companies, so it will be harder for them to manipulate our students. Also, to strengthen the communication plan, our policy already says that signs should be posted, but we can do more to make sure that everyone knows we're tobacco-free. For example, student handbooks and orientations could be used to notify parents and students. Staff handbooks and trainings could be used to make sure staff are aware of the policy, and schools could use announcements at events. Since youth tobacco and vape addiction is a big problem everywhere, we should make sure we're loud and clear that our schools are tobacco-free.
Catherine?
My name is Catherine Pierce, and I go to Swift Creek Middle School. My SWAT advisor is Miss Susan Griggs. I joined SWAT because my mom works at the Department of Health for Tobacco-Free Florida, and I've grown up listening to her talking about tobacco and things, so I thought it would be fun. The policy recommendation for Leon County Schools should make sure student and staff enforcement includes tobacco cessation support. Most people who are addicted to nicotine want to quit, but quitting is really hard. The enforcement plan for students and staff should include resources to help them quit if they want to.
Hi, my name is Jason Rajesh, and I'm from Swift Creek Middle School, and my SWAT advisor is Miss Susan Griggs. I joined SWAT because I used to live in an apartment complex where tobacco products were very common, and the effects on my neighbors from the tobacco products were visible, and I wanted to help them quit. Policy recommendation for Leon County Schools. We should allow for narrow exceptions to the policy. We don't believe that teachers should get in trouble for trying to quit tobacco or for teaching important tobacco prevention lessons. That is why we recommend these 2 exceptions to the tobacco-free policy. The first would allow adult staff members to have and use FDA-approved tobacco cessation medications at school. This one is especially important if we update the definition of tobacco to include all nicotine products. The second would allow the use of tobacco products for tobacco prevention education. We would not recommend including any other exceptions in the policy.
And again, Superintendent Handa, Assistant Superintendents, and board members, we thank you for your time and attention, as well as your consideration of these recommendations to the board. And we look forward to continuing our work with the school and the policy, as well as with Dr. Gale on these very important issues in our school as well as our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Fagans. Ms. Rasmussen?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the participants tonight in the presentation. I'm very impressed with how thorough your recommendations are, and not to mention that they're coming from the middle school level. I thought I was ahead of the curve when I knew what juuling was a few years ago, but now I'm didn't know what Zen and Velo are. But anyway, I would like to request that we could get these recommendations in writing and take a look at our policy through their recommendations and see what we need to do to update. Thank you.
Okay. Further comments? Thank you, Ms.
Yeah, I would just like to echo what Ms. Rasmussen said. I can't believe those are middle school students. Guys, thank you so much for your leadership. This is certainly an important topic of in discussion. We've also been discussing the potential of Leon County Schools joining a class action lawsuit that will against big tobacco companies that have turned to juuling and trying to lure kids like you in. But we just can't thank you enough for your advocacy and leadership in this very important topic.
We thank you very much again, Mr. Fagan. I'm curious, though. You mentioned that you had surveyed many of the schools. Are you still getting in some of the reports from the surveys that might be coming from some of the other middle schools and perhaps high schools? This was a wonderful presentation. The students were absolutely outstanding.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. And yes, we are continuing to survey the schools. This is an annual survey that was done. So, we'll go back, of course, again, and continue to work with some of the other schools as far as completing, identifying other recommendations that we see. But this is mainly focused on the policy at this point.
Of course. Okay. All right. So we appreciate this focus on the policy, and we thank these students who are from Montford and Swift Creek. You did an outstanding job, and thank you, Mr. Fagans of the Health Department. And are there other comments about this item? Thank you. If not, then we move to the FSU opening nights in class. Mr. Hanna, I think you're going to be introducing someone.
I see a former student of mine, a former Leon Lion, Calla McNamara. Calla, the floor's all yours.
Guys. Thank you so much. I'm Calla with Opening Nights at FSU. Thank you so much for having me here. We were able this season to present a virtual concert featuring past opening night artist Black Violin. Black Violin is a world-renowned African-American violin duo from Florida. In this concert, in addition to hearing music ranging from classical to hip-hop, the performance sends a strong message about challenging stereotypes, the status quo, and the importance of hard work, patience, and unwavering dedication. Every district in Leon County Schools is participating. We're engaging with more than 10,000 of your students. So thank you so much for giving us a stage. It's meant a lot to us to be back with you guys. School board members, on your desk, you will find a copy of the Black Violin resource packet, which was created by the Opening Nights in Class Resource Committee. This committee is formed to have professionals and local educators use Florida standards to develop materials for our artists coming into the schools. So we can deliver holistic programming that bring the arts in the classroom truly together. Basically, I just wanted to let you know, we are working hard to come back into the schools and provide even more programming for K-12. So thank you for being supportive of us and supportive of the arts.
Okay, thank you so very much. And school board members, if you look into this packet, you will see that Dr. Christopher L. Small is the opening night's Arts Advocate winner. Dr. Small was a principal in the Thorpe Street corridor at Raw. I just needed to mention that, and he's now moved on. I told him today he ran off and left us. He is now working at Florida State University, and he's the chair of this outstanding committee. So we thank you for the wonderful work, and we appreciate you and what you do with the arts, and hopefully many of us might be able to attend. All right?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jones.
I want to thank Ms. McNamara directly. I want you to know, as a person who first fell in love with classical music because of programs like those that you help to facilitate on behalf of our children, help to broaden their musical tastes, their musical experiences, and their musical interests, and the fact that we're able to continue that type of impactful work even in the throes of a pandemic says a great deal about what the values of the opening nights program and your commitment to our children. Please know that it is very much appreciated. Our principals talk about it with great enthusiasm. They're always excited, and here the fact that they maintain that same excitement even now in a virtual context is due to your continuing advocacy, making certain that our children are engaged, and I am very, very grateful to you most specifically. And it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
I'd like to just echo what Mr. Jones said, Calla. Please express our deep gratitude and appreciation to everyone on your team. You do this free of charge to our school district. I was at Oak Ridge Elementary School about 3 weeks ago on a visit and walked into the choral director's classroom, and we were previewing this event itself, the Black Violin Artists, and it was just amazing what those kids were going to be exposed to. So we're just so appreciative to you, Florida State University, for this wonderful partnership that we've had for a number of years. And then also, Calla, thank you for sponsoring our Principal of the Month initiative that you give tickets to our principals to go out and enjoy some at least one night away from school. So thank you again for all that you've done to help the children in our school system.
Wonderful.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, further comments about this item? Thank you all. Moving along now to 610, Leon County Schools Audit Committee. I see that.
Not the NIMS 609.
Did I miss something? Oh, I cannot miss this item. Let's move back. I'm sorry. I am at the bottom of the page. I should be at the top of the page that says Career and Technical Education Month. Should I not be there?
That's it.
That's where I am. So,
That's right.
Mrs. Superintendent.
Madam Chair, this time I'd like to ask the Director of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, Ms. Shelley Bell, to jump into our classroom and to make some brief remarks about career and technical education.
Thank you. Good evening, school board chair, board members, and superintendent. February has been designated as Career and Technical Education Month. Governor DeSantis sent out a proclamation earlier in the month. And tonight we would like to celebrate the value, achievements, and accomplishments of programs right here in Leon County schools. And just to give you some information on how we did in a COVID year, in 2019-2020 in our K-12 schools, specifically at the elementary and middle school level, our students passed 3,621 digital tool certification exams, and in grades 8 through 12, 1,011 industry recognized certification exams, resulting in $993,000 coming back to our schools. So we're really proud of what is going on in our K-12 schools. Right? Absolutely. And to just look at where we were historically, about 4 years ago, we were bringing in right about $350,000 into our district with industry certification exams. And we're right there at the $1 million level. And had it not been for COVID, we know that we would have done even better last year. And so tonight we wanted to bring on a couple of our schools to talk about some of the specific things that are going on in our middle and high schools. We're really, really proud of all the work that our principals, administrators, and most importantly, our teachers and students are doing when it comes to career and technical education. And so I think, Dr. Gale, I'm not sure who's up first. Maybe it's Sarah Hembry over at Cobb Middle School.
It is. I see Miss Hembry. You're up.
We love technical education at Cobb Middle School. We've actually embedded it into our day-to-day life. Our goal is that 100% of our students complete at least one semester of technical education in the 3 years that they're there. So at this point, 80% of our students have completed or are currently enrolled in a CTE course. And those range from computer skills all the way to agriculture, our newest program that we added this year. So all of our sixth graders actually are in a CTE course that does digital tools, but also helps those students use the technology to be successful in their classes. So we actually teach them the things they need to know how to do, like typing and use a Word document and all of those things to communicate, how to email a teacher and not be like you're texting your friends. So we do that. We also have a pretty robust advanced computer programming where we do all kinds of programming, website design, HTML and coding, 3D printing. Over the summer and during the pandemic, when we were first starting, actually, we printed almost 10,000 ear savers to share with medical professionals as they were using all of the masks that we've been doing. We printed those and gave those to the hospital. We had a partnership with TMH and with other medical groups in town. And then with our agriculture program, our students are growing vegetables at home. They have home grow kits that they're able to use. So even our students here at Digital Academy have been able to participate. And we recently just hatched chickens. So we've got 21 chicks at school, and our students are working on a plan to do with that. We did get a grant from the local farmers group to have our chicken coop. And so all of our schools are invested in that. And while chickens are cute, we also really put that into the science programs where not every egg that's fertilized hatches. So our sixth grade science kids have been able to actually dissect the eggs that didn't hatch to determine at what stage did the chicken not make it, determine an issue about what might or might not have happened. Was there a deformity with the chicken? So our science classes have all been using those as well, not just our ag.
Thank you, Sarah. Oh, wow. Woo. Wow. How exciting.
Never a dull moment, Sarah Henry.
I tell you.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. And so next we have Marcus Scott, and then I think we've got Desmond Cole from Godby who are going to share a little bit about what they're doing as well.
Okay.
Good evening, school board members, Mr. Superintendent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Bell, for your leadership here as the director of CTE for our district. I'm coming to you guys live from our shop class here at Raw, where we boast the only middle school industry arts program in Leon County. And so I want to come here so you guys can not necessarily just talk about it, but I want you to see our classroom where we have our students where they can actually have hands-on project with hands-on working with the industry equipment, with engineering, with drafting, with digital, with design, all learning carpentry skills at all level, and also engaging in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the art, and math. So our kids here also, we boast the first middle school shop program in the United States to offer a national certification in HBI, which is Home Builders Institute, where this is where our students are building home items to work with different affiliates. We work with different affiliates such as, Ducks Unlimited, Quail Forever, Toys for Tots. As you know, on last December, our students worked with Toys for Tots with assembling over 20 bikes to give to our families within our community that are in need. And so we did that. And so I kind of want to just kind of show you as well some of the things that our students are building. So if you kind of look, we work with the National Parks, Florida Fish and Wildlife, to build benches for the national parks as well as duck houses. Like I said, we work with the HBI program that's our certification within the Home Builders Institute. They also work building bridges. Our students work to build bridges and work on the strengths and on the strengths and collapsibility for certain bridges as well. So everything from items large to small, our students are working within our HBI program. I wanted to also highlight our CTE program of digital design. That's where Mr. Stewart is our teacher. These students get industry certification in digital design, where they learn Adobe Photoshop, becoming masters in that craft as well. They learn marketing, branding, but they do it within a hands-on approach where they're actually building, they're actually designing certain products, working with certain markets, looking at certain audiences. And so we work with students, both 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to offer them the HBI program as well as the digital design program here at Ross. So while we're art school, we also deal with CTE, and we also do it very, very well. So again, thank you to the support that Ms. Bell has been giving us throughout the year, as well as our superintendent for allowing so many students to get certified in this HBI program, as well as our CTE digital design.
Yay. Right.
And so last we have Principal Cole over at Godby. And as a matter of fact, today, administrators from Franklin County Schools came down to take a look at what Godby is doing because they've been able to put quite a few CTE programs on their campus. So, Mr. Cole?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I do feel slightly inadequate this evening because Mr. Scott felt like he was a roving reporter just a few moments ago. And so while he was in his tech area, I mean, I'm just in my office, but I do want to say how proud I am of what we're doing here at Godby High School. Our programs we're just fantastic. We feel like we're just doing really great things for kids, for teachers, for our local Tallahassee community. At Godby, we offer several things. We offer agriculture, and which we're really, really proud of. That started 2 years ago. We're in our third year of agriculture. Our agriculture teacher has talked me into expanding by raising chickens. So we'll be in the chicken business here in just a little while. Next year, we're going to get started next year. Digital photography, digital design. Super proud of all of these programs, engineering, pathways, and nursing. So we're just really doing a good job. I feel like I think where the rubber meets the road at Godby High School, not only the students being committed, but we have really fantastic teachers that really buy into what they're doing and pour themselves out 1,000% in these programs. And so when we look at the numbers and the industry certification and the tests passed each year, we're just really super proud. Last year we were plugging along. We knew we were going to hit our mark, if you will, and COVID came. But even with COVID, as Ms. Bell stated a few moments ago, we did a bang up job in reaching some numbers that we had not reached previously at that moment in time. So, and I would be remiss if I did not mention our welding program, which is fantastic. And with the help of Ms. Bell at Lively, we've had our welding program here for 4 years, as long as I've been at Godby. So that's it for Godby. We're just really proud of what we're doing, really proud of our students and teachers at Godby High School.
Real quick before Mr. Cole gets off, you also have to brag that not only did you have the Teacher of the Year, Miss Valet, you also had the DeVern Glenn Distinguished Educator of the Year today, Chelsea Johnson. So Godby High School, Tharp Street, something's going on down there.
I didn't want to brag, Superintendent. I was going to mention that. I said I just assume focus on our CTE, but yes, super duper proud of our faculty, but especially those two young ladies. They are just doing it here at Godby. And I'm glad the district's able to have a small view into what we see every single day.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for your leadership, Desmond.
That's great.
Thank you, Superintendent and the board.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Do you have closing remarks, or is that it?
No, that's pretty much it. We do encourage board members, if you haven't been out to look at what's going on, take a minute to get out to all of our high schools have programs. I know Rickard's just opened their welding program this year, but there's a lot of great things going on in CTE. If you want to take a minute to stop by Godby High School, I think Mr. Cole and probably Colonel Spraggins would even let you try out some of their aviation simulators. They've got the latest and greatest, not just in simulators, but in their drone technology as well. So we encourage everyone to get out and see what's going on, because we're doing some amazing things when it comes to career and technical education in our schools.
Ms. Bell, thank you for mentioning that as well. I forgot to mention that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Bell, for your outstanding leadership with this program, and thank each one of the principals and presenters there. And yes, Mr. Superintendent, the Thorpe Street corridor is more than adequately represented tonight. Our students are exceptional, and I see Mr. Scott there doing his hand signals. These particular jobs and skills will help our children, our students, move on into the future and be able to find real paying jobs, for lack of a better way to put it. And so we are really, really grateful that we are back again to this place in our school system. I remember a few years ago over at Godby, there was a program, and I don't know if you were there or not, Miss Bell, where the students were building homes and were being taught carpentry, Mr. Cole. And that was a very popular thing to do. And so now we continue to move with Miss Bell's instructions, for lack of a better way to put it, to have these particular programs in the curriculum there, and the community appreciates it. So we're going to continue to be cutting edge. Mr. Jones, did I see you?
Miss Woods.
Miss Woods, all right.
I just
And then
wanted
Mr.
to
Jones.
reinforce a subject we've been talking about, which is choice. And we have a lot of great choices in Leon County schools, and
Yes,
these
we
are
do.
just great indicators of what's going on. And my guess is most people have no idea that these sorts of things are going on. So anything we can do to market this
No.
and to tell the community and tell the public and show them pictures and videos of the opportunities that are available at our schools, those middle school programs and high school programs, and they're even starting in elementary. So the more we can do to pat ourselves a little bit on the back, but really more than that, just to tell people what the opportunities are. They just have no idea. So congratulations, Superintendent, for leading the way, and let's do everything we can to tell the community about it.
Absolutely. Mr. Jones?
I could not agree with Ms. Woods more. I've shared information about school choice, and certainly I want all of my kids in my district to stay in my district, right? However, but if they don't stay in District 3, I want them to stay in our Leon County School District most specifically. And I think that if we do more to tell our stories, particularly about these magnet programs, I think it's going to go a long way to equipping parents with the information that parents who want to make choices in the best interest of their kids. And I think as we talk about putting a greater emphasis on career and technical education, in fact, as I recall, didn't we vote on some specific money for the marketing of our career and technical education options?
We talked about it.
And I don't know how that's being rolled out, but I know that this is an optimum time to do so. And I'm also, and this is my final point, because of what I believe is just such a stellar program, I'm hope that we as a district will have the interest in talking about what are continuing pathways whereby we are able to perhaps target specific school sites where the emphasis for children that we identify from across our district, that perhaps we may want to facilitate that type of comprehensive study at a site overall. I'll remind you that I took a trip to Nashville, and their school district has schools that are devoted to career and technical education, and that they start as early, and those schools may start, instead of 9th grade, they may start at 8th or 7th grade. And they have the curriculum for what our traditional course offerings. But those kids identify early on in middle school, they start to see a variety of options made available to them. And then by the time they get to the upper high school grades, they then go into specific areas of instruction such that when they graduate with both the diploma as well as the certification. We are also at present, if I might give a little appetite for my colleagues, we're going to be bringing an agenda item to you where we're recommending that our interns who are enrolled at Lively Vocational Technical College will have their first opportunities to do externs and apprenticeships at our own work, working in cooperation with our own staff and facilitating our needs, our construction projects, as well as our capital outlay projects, and that gives them opportunity here to work in our own school district. So there's great options for great creativity. And as we talk about the future of career and technical education, I get excited when I think about what that's going to mean because, like all of you, I have heard the conversation about poverty in our community and ending cyclical and generational poverty. Well, the way you end it is with a qualified and a quality job that pays a living wage. And who does that better than our Leon County schools? And so the remedy for it is found right here in the work that we're seeing described here by Principal Cole and Principal Scott, Principal Evers. And so I hope that we can do, as Ms. Wood has said, share more about that story so that our children can be, and our parents who make their choices on behalf of their children are knowledgeable and aware of the options that are made available in our district. I just couldn't be more excited, and congratulations to everybody who presented tonight, and most especially congratulations to Ms. Shelley Bell and to our superintendent. I said a lot, but...
Yeah, it's all good. Further comments? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bell and team. And so we continue on now with innovative and creative ideas because we're going to listen to the R. Frank Nims Middle School Pre-Law Academy. Mr. Superintendent, did you want to set that up more?
See, Dr. Bolden's already on with us tonight, so welcome to the classroom, Dr. Bolden. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm going to play a quick video for you.
I knew I wanted to deal with two things, perception of our school and creating an environment that changed our community, I started researching OR magnets. I visited a school down in Broward, a couple of schools in Broward County Schools, and I knew we needed that here in this community.
You know, we was able to see that journey once we went down to Fort Lauderdale, what the kids will be able to do in this program.
Dr. Bolden asked me to come visit about 8 months ago and had this vision of creating a pre-law academy here at Nims Middle School. And we made a commitment to him financially to renovate this room. The local law firm donated the bench and all of the things that go into a courtroom. And I said, well, your timing is perfect because I have a courtroom that you can have.
Basketball, they can now practice law on the campus of R. Frank Nims Middle School. Students here on the campus of R. Frank Nims earn Trojan bucks in their classroom.
They can actually hire one of the school lawyers in this program.
And that attorney meets with the administration or my attorney. All of the students here at our school will get a list of our working attorneys.
Legal Studies Academy is that kind of opportunity, exposing them early to what opportunities there will exist for them in the legal profession.
As a public defender, I'm very excited to bring a different perspective to the criminal justice system. This is an incredible opportunity for young students to get into a courtroom, to see what it's like to be an advocate, and to make a difference in this world.
The courtroom can be a way for some kids that think they're not in the wrong to go and actually have an opportunity to get that wrong taken away.
For so long, this has been a place where students come to find and define who they are as individuals. This is going to allow them to take it to the next level and to expand upon the talents that they bring to our school systems each and every day.
It's pretty important because I guess you could say it builds people's character just knowing everything there is to know about law.
They have seen gross miscarriages of justice on television.
We'll plant seeds in the hearts and minds of young people that they can dream big dreams and aspire to do great things and to be drum majors for justice and repair what we know is oftentimes systemic oppression found in our legal system.
This is an amazing opportunity for us to change the world.
I think that this is a really important program because we explore a lot of how they can empower themselves to change their futures. The beauty, though, is that we're in the south side of Tallahassee. Y'all must know how the story started. When we were in law school, we mentored kids from NIMS Middle School right here while we were in law school. So it's full circle to come here today to be able to do this and to share the vision and to pass it forward.
Students in our school feel like they have the support of businesses in our community.
Thank you so much for just supporting. I think that it's a great thing to sponsor a program like this for schools because we're one of the only 2 schools in Florida, I think, that have a program like this.
Having this program, having the community being involved and seeing the changes has given us that opportunity to change.
I think it's important that in order to change your community, you need to let them know and understand what the law is, what is wrong, what can get you in jail, to teach our kids to be better so that it change our community way beyond my time here and anybody else's.
Thank you so much. I am Dr. Benny Bolden. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent, and the school board members. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for all that you have done in our endeavors to push this pre-law program here at our Frank Nims Middle School. We could not be more proud of what we're doing here on the campus of our Frank Nims Middle School. Just a quick recap, I want you to know that students on our campus will come in their 6th grade year. We have a pre-law curriculum that we teach. In addition to that, their 7th grade year, students will then be able to sit for the bar. If in fact they pass that bar, they're free to practice law on the campus of our Frank Nims Middle School. Students earn Trojans bucks here at our school, and so if they get in trouble, they can hire one of our sitting attorneys right here on campus. That attorney can either put in for a stay, we'll either go to mediation or litigation, depending on the outcome of what we cannot agree on. And when we get to the 8th grade year, students then can, after practicing law for a whole year, they can run to be the sitting judge on campus. We have a plethora of partners and things of that nature who have supported us: Public Defender Jessica Urey, FSU College of Law, the FAMU Police Department, FSU Care, who those students are first generational college students will then have an outline to now go through high school, be a part of that program, and have FSU Care pay for their college experience as they attend Florida State University. Also, one of our partners is Jack Campbell of the State Attorney and Park Law Firm. We could not be more proud of what we're doing for the students in the community. I would like to leave you with this, what I tell all of our faculty students every day, and it's our daily affirmation. You matter, you are important, you are and will be successful. You are smart, you will achieve, because you are a Trojan Scholar. We have so many great faculty and staff, and today...
Oh, we are so spellbound. So we will applaud now. Oh, Dr. Benny Bolden, again, you froze on us. That's what they say, Ms. Rasmussen. Hopefully you'll be able to come back in a little while to finish this. But meanwhile, I know there are many thoughts that board members would like to share about this outstanding program. So while we're waiting for, are you back? Not yet. For him to return. Comments, questions?
I'll start. I
right.
had to go visit this program about a week ago, and I just left with, I just wanted to be involved. I mean, what
Wonderful.
can we do to support? What can we do to make this happen? The fact that they were peer reviewing their own disciplinary issues within the group, the curriculum that's brought in. What he didn't share with you was he wrote a grant and received a lot of funding from DOE for this. I mean, he went above and beyond. It's like, can we clone Benny Bolden and spin him out? And Martha Scott and Sarah Hembry. We just saw a A to Z of rock stars in our district. And I'm like you, Ms. Wood. How can we share this message out there? But I was blown away by. You can see his enthusiasm. It jumps off the screen. But that program that he is, though, it can be absolutely community changing, not just for the kids, but for the people that live in that area. For those kids when they get older. I reached out to my friends at FSU Law, and I'm encouraging them to implant their law students with Big Brothers Big Sisters in the fall as mentors for the kids at in this law program. And I'm hoping that we can do year 1 with 6th graders, year 2 with 7th graders, year 3 with 8th graders, and that they will be paired with a law student from FSU that will stay with them the whole 3 years. So it's just big things. So he is amazing. I don't know if he can hear us, but thank you for everything you're doing for NIMS, for our school district, and for your community.
Absolutely. Miss Woods, and I'm mumbling under the phone again, Miss Rasmussen. Are you back, Mr. Dr. Bolden?
I am.
All right, then.
But I had some technical difficulties, but I hope you was able to hear what I had to say and also see the video.
Yes, we did. We saw your wonderful video, and I think you started to freeze after you did your affirmations that you...
You were talking about your faculty.
Yes, your faculty. That's where you were.
Well, I have some wonderful faculty members here. 2 are behind me. This is our magnet coordinator, Miss Aljavice Mitchell, and Miss Catherine Young, who serves as the co-magnet. I am so, as my school board members would say, I'm deliciously proud to work with so many wonderful educators who made this vision a reality. We are 60 years old this year, and we are doing nothing but getting better and stronger each and every day for our community. And so thank you so much for this opportunity to share just a little bit of what we're doing, even outside of CTE and performing arts, what we're doing right here on 723 West Orange Avenue. I often tell the kids this is where scholars reside.
Absolutely. We wish we could bottle that, Dr. Bolin. Thank you. Miss Wood, I think, no?
Well, I just so appreciate this.
Okay,
I think all
I'm
of us
sorry.
do. And, I hope we can sort of take this on up through Rickard so that we can really have a law academy. And by the time those kids graduate, they've had internships with law firms, and this program can grow and go right up the line.
Absolutely.
And that's my hope.
All right. Okay. We are just so very thankful and appreciative and impressed with this outstanding work and the way that Mr. Jones has worked with it, and we hope that we might be able to come across Orange Avenue, come on around Lake Bradford Road, come on down. You know where I'm coming, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You know that, over to the Thorpe Street corridor, and just infuse the entire community with this kind of enthusiasm and energy to move our people and our children into a new way of thinking and jobs that they can hold. So I know you wanted to say something, sir.
Madam Chair, I just want to salute our principal in District 3, our middle school principal, Dr. Benny Bolden, for his innovation. I talk about the ingenuity of the district, and he has personified that in spades. He has changed the climate and the culture. And to his credit, he has enlisted the support of the community to be a part of that vision. You'll be delighted to know that Daryl Parks, who provided that law space, lives just 3 blocks away from NIMS Middle School. And he loves to tell the story about when he and Ben were lawyers, how they volunteered at NIMS Middle School. I did my student teaching at NIMS Middle School. And so it is a very special place, and I'm just grateful that we have such a sterling leader and such a fantastic faculty to help these children to dream big dreams and to have great visions about what their future can look like. Congratulations, Dr. Bolden. And the Mecca has moved south.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh, listen, let me just tell you guys something. I want you to know that I lived at 2506 Saxon Street. Oh, yes, I did too, right down from NIMS Middle School. And in case others in the community might not understand what that means, once you understand where the culture is and what you're trying to do, you still have to be a part of the community. So outstanding work, Dr. Bolden. Outstanding work to you and your staff. Wonderful, wonderful, innovative things that you're doing, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for granting the opportunity to have this happen for all of our students. Thank you so much. We are still our neighbors, though we may not live next door to each other. All right? That's really true. I do feel that and believe that. And on this board, I think I can say that we care about all of our students, not just those that are in our district. Okay, so we don't get on that soapbox a little bit more. We will continue to be excited about the work that we do, because now we're going to talk about the Leon County School Audit and the committee that was chaired by Ms. Rasmussen. And I think there will be some wonderful things that she will say, and we're ready to listen to those things.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been such an exciting night, and I just don't know how I could possibly follow all of that up with a report on the audit. So I would like to go back to the chicken mortality rate, and I have learned that
we have a sense of
the
humor.
chickens.
Yes, we do. The chicken mortality rate. It's okay. It's
Anyway,
okay.
no, seriously, it's been a great night, and I'm grateful for everything that's been presented. And,
Right,
and
so
it
don't
really,
be Debbie Downer.
It really is terrible. No, I am not going to be Debbie Downer. I, in fact, have excellent news to report. Now, some of you stole our thunder a couple weeks ago and mentioned it ahead of time, and then Petley took out a press release today, but that's okay. Because you all have requested that the audit committee come to you at least once a quarter. So this is our quarterly report, and I'll try to do it quickly, but not without enthusiasm. So the most recent meeting of the audit committee was on January 22nd. The results of the audit of the school internal accounts and the Auditor General's final audit, and an update on internal auditing work plan. You know, we have lots of different types of audits here all the time going on simultaneously. So this is a report about the internal accounts. The external auditing firm that we use is Purvis Gray and Company. They've been an excellent auditing firm with a lot of professional development for our staff. They've worked with our staff. They did have 7 findings, but all of them are considered relatively minor, and they did not note any areas of noncompliance. Some of it had to do with documentation and COVID and just the normal, inability to have checks and balances with a small staff. But again, nothing of major concern. The biggest item, of course, is the Florida Auditor General's financial audit, which had no findings whatsoever. We got an A+. Yay. Excellent for us. And then the final part had to do with the internal auditing annual work plan, which is, of course, Ms. Levitra Paul's shop, where they audit the internal accounts. Kudos to Ms. Banks and Naomi and all in our finance department for the tremendous work that they've done over the past few years, where we've seen a consistent progression of more and better and greater audit finding. It's in a positive light. So
absolutely.
Thank you so
much. And did I understand you to say that this is the second year, Ms. Rasmussen?
I think we've had, I don't remember if they were consecutive years, but we've had
consecutive cycles. So the Auditor General
comes every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Well, that's what I mean.
And 3 years ago we had 0 material weaknesses, and here again 3 years later we have 0 material weaknesses. So that's
what I thought.
An outstanding accomplishment. And Ms. Rasmussen mentioned about our CFO, our former CFO, Mara Wimberly, our current CFO and Assistant Superintendent, Kim Banks, all of her finance staff, all of our school-based bookkeepers. Again, we say this all the time. Job 1 is keeping our people safe. Job 2 is fiscal responsibility and accountability to the taxpayer dollars. And we're just so honored and proud of this accomplishment. But the thanks goes again to the hard-working people we have in our district to ensure that our resources are going where they meant to go, and that's to our children and to our employees.
Absolutely. And we continue to enjoy excellence in our budgetary department. Good job. And now, drum roll for the update by, do we do what?
It was an awesome report by Ms. Rasmussen.
It was a good report.
And I will give also a brief report as we continue to work through our strategic plan. Madam Chair, members of the board, last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we discussed, again, providing a safe school environment, which is number 1 pillar of our strategic plan. Then we discussed student achievement. Tonight, I'd like to spend just a few minutes to discuss our third pillar, which is quality resources in our school district for our students and staff members. During my campaign for re-election, we had several debates, and one of the questions that was asked to me is, Superintendent, what is the greatest single thing you can do to impact the Leon County School District? And I think you all witnessed that tonight. It's appointing school principals. And I'm proud to say over the last 4 years, I've had the opportunity to appoint over 20 principals at our schools. And tonight was just a shining example of their leadership. And I am just so appreciative to all that they do each and every day. If anything positive has come out of this whole COVID mess, when's the last time we had a chance to go live into a classroom at a school board meeting and see firsthand from Raw Middle School, from NIMS Middle School, from Godby High School, from Cobb Middle School, that we are literally transforming the way we do board meetings and many other things. So as far as quality of resources are concerned, first and foremost, the greatest impact we can have is appointing highly qualified school administrators and principals, because they will ensure then that they are appointing and recruiting highly qualified teachers and educators for our school children. So with that, there are two goals set forth in Pillar 3. One is providing highly qualified teachers, administrators, and staff. And we are doing the best we can, even through a pandemic with a teacher shortage crisis, to provide highly qualified educators in all of our schools. One of the biggest components of Goal 1 is centered around professional development. And over the course of the last year, we have doubled down on our professional development efforts alongside LCTA, 1010, and LESPA to give our folks the professional development they need in order to reopen our schools safely and efficiently, meeting parents and families where they are, whether they're physically in our schools or they are in one of our digital academies. And we had a lot of professional development. We knew we had a new learning management system. We had to finally figure out how to turn those cameras on. That I've had a camera on the top of my computer for 4 years. I never even know how to turn the thing on. And now it has become our way of work. Really, we have been forced, like many Americans, I've said this before, we've rejected the metric system, but we've now been forced to embrace the technology that has been at our fingertips for many years. So if there's anything good or positive that's come out of this really horrific situation, it's this. And a lot of these other goals of Pillar 3, quality resources, center around technology. So we knew in the areas of professional development, whether it's working on professional development of safety protocols and practices with bus drivers and food service workers and others, working with our teachers in professional development with our new learning management system in Canvas, our new content that we've parked on that learning management system. Also, how to engage with distance learning, how our teachers are working in this hybrid model, at least through the end of the school year, to ensure that no child is left behind. And then finally, Goal 2 speaks to advance state-of-the-art educational technology, materials, and facilities. We moved our district to a 1-to-1. We have ensured that every child at every level has access to the same learning device, no matter what zip code they live in. That was a monumental step that we have taken over the course of the last year. And it was a significant investment on part of this board. It was over a $10 million investment. But now was the time to act. And so what we have accomplished over the last year is reason to be celebrated, but is not a reason for us to stop. There are still many things we need to do to advance. One of the action items that says provide intelligent classrooms throughout our district. I've had an opportunity to visit, I'm on my second cycle now, to visit all of our schools, to walk our campuses, to listen. I have focus groups with teachers to listen to where they need help, where they need professional development, instead of us just saying, well, let's just do professional development centered around X. No, we're going to go into our folks. Where do we need help? Where can we give you, with the resources we have, the tools you need to engage with your students and become the best version of yourself that you can become? So one of the first actions was intelligent classrooms. Check. Ensure student accessibility to technology on campus, not only on campus, but at home. The Internet for All program that we have through the foundation, the partnerships we have with Comcast and T-Mobile and others, to ensure that our students don't only have access to technology while on campus, but also access to technology in their homes. We distributed over 8,000 desktops. We've now replaced those desktops with our laptops. Another action item from Goal 2 was increase instructor and classroom use of technology. I mean, it's night and day from where we are last March to where we are this March. It's literally night and day. Utilize technology to streamline workflow and reduce paperwork. Implement enterprise resource planning system for district business practices. And then finally, provide additional student stations to meet district pre-K needs. We just had Brooke Bruner on here and talk about we've doubled down on our pre-K workstations and student stations. So these action items that are encompassed in goal 3, we've accomplished. But now's not the time to rest. Now's the time for us to revisit this and to write new goals centered around these pillars that have existed for the last 5 years. But you all should be very proud of the accomplishments we've made in this area. I certainly am. And unfortunately, it took us maybe a pandemic to nudge us a little harder, but we have positioned ourselves very well moving into the future. And it should be a chance for us to celebrate this accomplishment. And we'll continue to get better. Our teachers will continue to get better. We'll continue to provide additional professional development. We gave the teachers at Ms. Striplin's urging an extra week of pre-planning, pushing the school. But it was a great decision that this board made by pushing the school year back to August 31st and giving teachers more time, giving them an extra day of planning in between the 9 weeks. And although this has not been perfect, we have face this challenge head on, and it's a challenge that we are meeting each and every day, and not us as much as our school administrators, and more importantly our teachers. So with that, I'll take any questions around Pillar 3, providing quality resources.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jones?
do we have that handout?
This handout, Mr. Jones, is our strategic plan. I can provide it for you.
Okay.
It's also parked on our website under the school board tab. So if you go see your beautiful smiling faces, the strategic plan is parked right there for the whole community to see.
But how about the results? The results that you just said.
The report that you just gave to us.
I can capture that. Yes, I can capture that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What I wanted to add was that part of what you've described, and this has been again attributed to your leadership and the collaborative relationship that we all have. Those $1 million that we put directly into our schools to impact furniture certainly has been enormously impactful. And the fact that we're continuing to identify those funds continually, as I've seen from our budgets that we've shared, I think is going to make an enormous difference. I would like for us to consider, and I know this may be, this is not a comparison of districts. I'm concerned, and I've heard this from, and I hate to call her name every meeting, school board member Rasmussen. When I make comments about disparity, she always reminds me about the older campuses. She says it's not just an issue of Title I, but we also have older schools across the expanse of our district. I think that if we talk about that formula of furniture, I think that's a formula that needs to also perhaps be considered as we talk about the application of capital outlay dollars, but being responsive to the needs of our older campuses, I think will also help to fortify what has already been the impact we've had in repairing, and I don't want to use quite the word disparity, but certainly the differences between our newer campuses and our older campuses. And so I don't know if the formula of just equal distribution based upon FTE and school size remedies what we know is that historic problem. For example, as you already know, having been the principal at Leon, one of our older campuses, the challenges that they have in terms of furnishings, technology, and improvements are different than from a newer campus like my own Bond Elementary School in District 3. So I think what we're doing, Mr. Superintendent, has been great. I'd just like for us to perhaps consider revisiting some of the methodology associated with sometimes the distribution of some of these dollars that we're investing in our schools.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And I will say, and I did not mention those resources. We have also pushed significant amount of resources back down into our schools and classrooms. It's that $1 million for furniture, fixtures, and equipment that we've given to our principals, return to an annual cycle between our secondary and elementary schools. In addition, we've contributed, $500,000 a year to support the arts and athletic programs, where they can buy principals, site administrators, and directors of these different groups can buy some of the things that are so desperately needed to reduce costs for parents and families to participate in these activities. To your point with the furniture money, I can assure you that I was the one that personally came up with that formula. The formula was adjusted by school on any new construction and furniture that they had received. As an example, Bond Elementary School had newer furniture because it's a newer facility.
Right.
There are sections at Griffin Middle School that have been redone. So I would take those student stations out for furniture that have been purchased within the last decade, and then allocated those resources to other schools that did not have construction that also came with furniture.
Okay.
So some of those considerations were taken into place. It's going to take us, and I'll give Ms. Wood credit for this because this was a big initiative of hers. It's going to take us several years to get caught up because we've been cut off for a decade. But I feel very confident, and the elementary principals are looking forward to their next round of funding coming this summer. The secondary folks certainly enjoyed that this year, and we'll continue that now as a cycle moving forward. We got off cycle with some of the things we had traditionally provided to our schools, but now I'm proud to say that we're back on course.
Can I also add this? This will be my final comment. Just my schools, because which I visit often, from the time I was elected to the time till now, particularly when it comes to technology in the classrooms, I think we've made some enormous gains. So thank you.
You kidding me? Yeah, and I would encourage. It's what we're doing. Yes, it's night and day from last March to where we are now. Walk into a classroom. Now, some of our people went kicking and screaming, but because it was such a heavy lift for our teachers, and that's why we owe them so much gratitude. Because even veteran teachers had to learn to embrace this technology and became new teachers all over again. And so, but also my second trip around has been much better than my first trip around the sun, right? So they're finding their way. And we said this from the beginning. You don't have to be perfect. And unfortunately, though, that's how they're wired. That's how teachers are wired. They're wired to be perfect. And it's easy for me to say, just be the best version of yourself that you can each and every day for your children. That didn't do it for them. But I will say in this area, it's literally night and day from where we were last March to where we are today. And we'll continue to build on this momentum.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So the last three reports, I just want to reiterate, we really want those captured. You've said them from the dais, but they need to be captured in bullet form and put on our website because we need to have, even though we're not doing fancy books like the county commission is, we can at least have our data and our results posted somewhere. So please do that.
Yeah, we talked about that too at a previous meeting, so that'd be great.
Many
Those
previous
comments
meetings.
that you're making tonight. Okay.
We will. And back to Mr. Jones's point, we hired Heather Thomas and working with Dr. Gale to oversee the marketing of our schools, to talk about the wonderful things, whether it's the pre-law program at NIMS or the programs at Godby or the program at Cobb. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's Ms. Thomas's job, is to work with and we have committed resources to try to get the word out. But as you guys know, advertising is not cheap. And but we are committed to doing what this board has directed us to do, and that's to tell the story. Because for so long we didn't tell the story, and it's a beautiful story to tell.
Yes, it is. So moving right along with the next topic.
All right, and finally, last but certainly not least, reopen Leon schools. We have to call this something different at some point.
I think we've already reopened.
Well,
How about
We've reopened. All right, end of report. I see. I'm going to get Dr. Cox we're going to be brief on this, but I saw where the some exciting news was released this afternoon coming from the governor's office about moving the next phase of vaccinations to potentially include teachers and firefighters and law enforcement officers the age 50 and over. Someone called me and asked me if I was going to get in line since I qualify as a 50 and over for the 50 and over part, and I said absolutely not. I will go I will be the last one to be vaccinated if I so choose. Once every single other employee in our school system has gone through the line. That's just the way I work. But having said that, we are very excited. The speed at which these vaccinations are taking place. I know Publix and other groups have jumped on and jumped in. And so with that, Dr. Cox, I'm going to turn it over to you and Coco to give us kind of a brief update on some of the CDC changes when it comes to quarantining and what some of your recommendations are to the board. Dr. Cox.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent. I know the hours moved late here. We'll be brief. CDC came out some recent changes. I want to go over that with the board. And then our superintendent's going to make some recommendations. Quick shout out to James Cole, James Howcroft, Rob McQueen, and Butch Watkins. They are directors kind of behind the scenes. Everybody's been involved with this COVID situation, but those guys have just been wonderful. Okay, Coco, let's let you go first. If you can just catch us up on our recent numbers for the Leon County greater area.
I sure will. Okay, so what we're looking at here, and I'm going to report on what we've tried to do each time that I've come on so that it's kind of keeping consistency. So from our last report, and this was from 2/7 to 2/21, the Leon positivity rates are 4.62%. The overall state is 6.82%. We are currently below the average, the state average in under 18 age groups. For Leon, it is 13.1%, and for the state, it is 14.5%. So we remain below the state average in Leon County. Our lab result wait times have also gone down. From the last time I reported, it was 1.96 days. It has now gone down, and this is the result turnaround time for getting your results for the testing. It is 1.35 days. So we continue to, looks like it's getting quicker turnaround time with all the testing sites here in Tallahassee and Leon County. Currently, the top numbers in positivities are the 18 to 24 crowd. The next is the 25 to 34-year-old crowd. So nothing really has changed there from the last couple reports that we've had.
Great. Thank you, Coco, and hang on here as I go through this for questions that we may have. Ms. Coffey or Dr. Gale, did y'all have those two slides that you can show?
They're up. We can see them. I don't think the community can, but we can see them.
Yes.
Dr. Cox, we can see them internally.
Okay, I'll go.
The bar graph.
Yeah, there you go. There you are. This was sent to me by Ryan Smith at the hospital up there. He's the chief medical officer at TMH. And it's just to show you, we did open 100%. We were asked to do that and to offering to 100%, which we did. And it just also shows the rate of pediatric cases. And so I thought it was interesting that we're actually the lowest of the states recognized here. But yet we were 100% open versus other ones at 5, 8, and 31%. No reason to discuss that. I just wanted to flash that out there to y'all. If we can go to the next slide, that would be great. This was an interesting one. You want to be in the green over there, okay, where it says lowest risk of transmission. Now, this came from CDC, and as you know, several states are grappling with opening their schools. They never opened. Of course, we've been that way since back in August. And so this was put out by CDC, and you want to stay away from the red, and so you want to be in the green. If you go to the red where it says highest risk of transmission in schools, go down to the bottom category there, if you've implemented none of the mitigation strategies, you would be at highest risk. There's 5 key mitigation strategies. We've implemented all of them since day one. You'll recognize them. Correct use of masks, social distancing, hand hygiene, cleaning and disinfecting, contact tracing, and local cooperation with your Department of Health. We have tagged all 5 of those very heavily. We also are below the 5% and, in the positivity rate. So we've done well in our district. I just wanted to show you all those that just came out here recently. Okay, that's all I need to see of the slides. Let's talk about what is the CDC, what is the latest recommendation that we need y'all to hear, and the superintendent will make a recommendation. 3 things. First was to reduce the quarantine period. And their recommendation was, y'all know it's either been 10 or 14 or somewhere in between there, days. If a case was positive, a student was positive, once we have a test positive, it's 10 days. These are for students now. Or if they're an exposure, which we have hundreds and hundreds that have been exposed, whether at school or through something after, most of it has been after hours, it's 14 days. They've come and they said, okay, on the 7th day, we're going to let you test your students with a rapid test. And if it's negative, they can come back on the 8th day, or they simply stay out 10 days and they can come back on the 11th day. Now, this recommendation came out and a little different right after the winter break. The problem was the recommendation was they required a PCR. Well, that's $160 on the cheap end. And we presented it to y'all just as a reminder. We were going to have a situation of some people that could afford to get it and get it done would be able to get back and some wouldn't. We decided to stay conservative and stay with the 14 days. And I think that was a good decision, and it's paid us well dividends. So the new recommendation is on the 7th day of quarantine for an exposure case. This is somebody who has been exposed to a known positive case. They can take a rapid test, which there are places all over town you can do that for free. And then on the 8th day, they can come back, or simply everybody can just wait till the 10th day. After 10 days, come back on the 11th day. That's change number 1. Change number 2 was household protocol. Our biggest community culprit, if I can use that word, to students being infected or being placed on quarantine or being exposed probably has been this element, this household protocol. That's when somebody under the roof tests positive for COVID. Here's the way it's been. The student cannot return to school until 14 days after the last person in the family is released. That's kind of been a problem, even though we're 2/3, 3/4 through the school year, because if the dad gets it, then a week or two later the mom gets it, then a week or two later somebody else in the house gets it. That student may never come back. Thank God for the tablets and digital academy that Rocky talked about, because that's been our saving grace. The new rule is the same as the quarantine I just went over. If it's household protocol, they can come back they take a test on the 7th day and come back on the 8th day, so they don't have to wait 14, or simply come back after 10 days, and this is after the last person is released. So no longer do they have to go 14. The final CDC recommendation, and we have a superintendent's going to make a recommendation, is temp checks, that we no longer have to do the temperature checks. Now, it's interesting that they make that recommendation. My doctor's office, my dentist, several other places around town still do the temp checks. We are set up to continue that, and because it really identifies a lot of other things, not just COVID, but influenza A, influenza B, all the other little things that are out there. And we've always had a fever policy. But those are the 3 big changes. Superintendent, did you want to make a comment or recommendation to the board on that?
Sure, and Dr. Cox and I have discussed this issue extensively, and it's my strong recommendation that we do move from 14 to 10 days, but we do not entertain the test after 7 days to return on the 8th day. Us trying to keep up with who was tested and can return and who wasn't tested and can't return. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Coco, even if they provide the test results, there are even stricter requirements about the wearing of masks and the social distancing during the rest of that time until they get to the 10th day. Isn't that correct?
It is, and none of it goes away. So you are still on alert for a potential symptom that could occur.
Yeah, so I'm not. I recommend that we cut those 4 days off as is provided for in the new guidance from the CDC. We always said we were going to let science and healthcare experts dictate the decisions we make. I am also strongly advising that we refrain from eliminating temperature checks. I think our schools are used to it now. It's become a way of work. Ms. Banks is going to be highly disappointed if we spent all that money on thousands of thermometers that we are now going to put in the drawer. So my two recommendations are we do move from 14 days to 10, and then we also continue to do temperature checks because our schools have grown used to it as a way of work and a practice. Dr. Cox, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, and I'll just interject that we really want to start this after spring break. In conversation with the Department of Health, we have hundreds of kids at all different number of days in quarantine, and the spring break would give us a chance to clear it all out, so to speak.
Clear the slate. Yeah, to give us a chance to clear the slate. One other thing, Coco, we thank you so much for you and Susan Young for all of your help for us to maintain our dashboard in full transparency and out literally in the sunshine, as Ms. Rasmussen likes to say. We have nothing to hide, and it has been a difficult task. I also want to thank Chris Petley because every single day he focuses on updating that dashboard. We know Susan Young, because y'all's resources have been stretched so thin, we're going to lose her services after spring break, so we're making plans. We're going to continue to have the dashboard, but Chris is going to have to step up his game after spring break, so I'm going to give him some massage therapy, whatever he needs to get ready, because we want to continue that dashboard up and running to keep our folks informed. But Coco, thank you and Susan and your whole team for helping us through this process.
You're certainly welcome. Glad we were here as a resource.
Thank you.
Okay. Take any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Strickland.
Thank you for that again, Coco and Dr. Cox. Just Chris Petley, above and beyond everything that we've done. We're in the green because of your guidance and our leadership following that guidance. And a few weeks ago, I was tempted, why weren't we going from 14 to 10? But it's like you said, things were going in the right direction. But I support your recommendation to move to 10, but maintain the temperature check. I think our parents are not. That was the difficulty, was, hey, I got to get back to work, but the temperature check is not affecting anybody. Plus, I really appreciate the input from Dr. Cox that it is catching some other things. Some kids that are coming to school, we always know this, go to school, well, maybe you shouldn't go to school. You're up there a little high, and we're catching that now. So I support both of those recommendations.
Further comments? Good job, Mr. Superintendent. We thank you for your work and for the updates, and we do support the continued temperature checks and the 10-day time that we're talking about. Okay. Is there anything else?
All minds clear?
All minds clear.
All right.
Okay. All right. We're going to now move to items 7 through 17.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Offered by Rasmussen, second by Strickland. Questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, it passes unanimously. And now we're at item
13.
18.
18, not
Move
13.
consent.
Second.
It's been moved by
Darrell.
Jones and second by Strickland.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Rasmussen.
I need to abstain from item 18 due to any perceived conflict of interest due to my employment.
Got you. Questions? Hearing none. All in favor of this item? For the approval? Aye. Aye. It passes unanimously with that exception as noted. As noted. All right. We got that. All right.
1901.
Where am I? Hang on.
approval.
Hang on. Let me just turn my page. My finger got caught. That's okay. I'll get there.
I believe we had a presentation on this yesterday, didn't we, Dr.
Yes.
Gale? And we discussed it at length, so I don't think, unless somebody wants another presentation tonight.
Yeah, that's why I moved approval.
Second.
Okay. All right. It's been moved by Jones, approved. Second by Jones, and approved by Rasmussen.
Sorry, Miss Madam Chair.
That's all right. Y'all just keep right on rolling. Questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Passes unanimously. All right, and where are we now?
1902, Madam Chair. This
That's
also
where I am.
was discussed at length yesterday by our risk management coordinator, Mr. Todd Stubsky.
Yes.
I move acceptance.
It's been moved for acceptance by Jones, second by Wood. Questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Comment, but before we do
Comment?
vote, that yes, with the caveat that we do look forward to a policy coming back with a threshold that we're going to be looking at. That I think that's still in the works, but thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Now, was that second?
Yes.
All right. Then
Moved by Jones, second by Wood.
Where am I?
Moved by Jones, second by Wood.
Moved by Jones, second by Woods. Okay. All right. Now, all in favor said yes. Okay.
Aye.
Said aye. Okay. All right. And so, is that Mr. Albritton up there?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think he's there for item number 1903.
Can we move
Yes, ma'am.
acceptance on this
Good
as
evening,
well?
Board.
He wants to
Item
talk.
1903, the
He's gonna
superintendent recommends approval for an additional phase at Rickards High School to remodel and renovate Building 18 to include classrooms and restrooms.
Comments, questions, Ms. Rasmussen?
Just to clarify, we're not awarding a contract here, are we?
Not on this one. This is just notifying the board that there's an additional phase.
Okay.
Is there
Another question: is this the downsizing of a media center? This was something that was outside of the original scope, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But reducing the size and we did discuss a little bit of concern yesterday. I think what were we losing in terms of what was in the media centers? I know this was going beyond just what was going on at Rickards, but did we have any concern there was going to be any loss at Rickards for any media center activity that might not be able to happen?
All these, the schematic was done in conjunction with the media specialist at the school and the site administrator. So it was both of them worked through to talk about space. The media center will just be downsized. Basically, it'll still be around 2,000 square feet. It still, serves certainly the purposes of what a media center should in 2021.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to receive it?
Move approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second by Wood, offered by Strickland. All in favor? Questions? We've had them already. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes the same. It passes unanimously. 1904.
Item 1904 is superintendent's recommendation to approve the Coy Stark Architects Professional Architects Counseling Services contract for Rickards High School Phase 6, remodel, renovate Building 18 schematic design services for $6,000.
I move approval.
Moved by Jones.
Second.
Second by Strickland. Questions?
Just an abstention. I need to abstain from this vote too.
All right. Abstention by Rasmussen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes? It passes with the exception of Rasmussen. Okay, thank you. And now we move to, thank you, Mr. Albritton.
Superintendent.
Reports from board liaisons. Reports from board liaisons. Let me just say very quickly, as you are attempting to pack up to go, I will remind you of an All Together Now conference, which is being virtually shown on February the 25th and 26th. I'm suspecting that you are aware of it. This is just a friendly reminder of this conference. Dr. Kathleen Rogers, I know, will be presenting. I'm serving as a panelist in one of the sessions, representing us and the Florida School Boards Association on equity for all students. And this is Thursday and Friday. So you might want to tune in to that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, can we back up just a minute to 20.01 upcoming meetings? Were there any changes noted on there? I know there was some. Okay.
Upcoming meetings?
There was. Yes, ma'am. It's just an information item, 20.01. I think we skipped over it.
20.01?
And 20.02.
Okay.
So we looked at the upcoming meetings in the last, and there was some question about adding. is this ringing a bell?
The TREM meetings?
There was a couple of meeting dates I knew that we discussed adding. They were kind of highlighted in a different color last time. So was anything changed, or are we looking at the same calendar?
We voted on them last time.
I think
Okay.
we voted before, did we?
I don't think it was a vote. I don't think we had to vote on it. I think it.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms.
School Board members,
Doctor.
Mr. Superintendent.
I'm sorry.
The last time we had an agenda review, you were presented a draft. At that time, per the recommendation of our school board attorney, that item will come to you next on March the 9th for a vote, and they'll have all the dates on there. What you're looking for, remember, you were having a chance to look over it. So that you could look at calendars and such like that. Opal McKinney Williams recommended, and we're going to take that recommendation that we add those meetings because it's easier to cancel than to put a new meeting on. So on March the 9th, that will be coming before you again, or coming before you for a vote.
Okay, so this is the older version.
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
All minds clear on that, right? Okay.
Are we still on board liaisons?
We are on. We can be on board liaisons reports. Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to thank the superintendent and our chairperson who, in their meeting with the mayor and the chair of the Leon County Commission, recommended me to serve on an affordable housing task force to be ultimately voted on by all of you. However, I have to decline because of
That's what I say.
because of my position as a staff person for the city and the county. I am unable to serve on committees that make recommendations to the city and county commission.
We lobbied hard to get you on that
Y'all
committee.
certainly
You
did.
have
I went
no
back
idea.
and saw
He
the-
did.
I mean, I went back and saw the broadcast, and I was like, wow. And in fact, y'all did such a great job that my bosses called me and told me in advance, yeah, I understand Rocky recommended you, but let him know you can't serve.
I was just going to surprise you tonight with that announcement on my comments.
Oh my goodness.
So I
tell you.
apologize, but that is why I also do not ever accept the city or the county liaison position because it provides a conflict with my as the director of deputy director for OEV. So
Well, would you like to nominate one of your other?
I defer to whomever else would serve, but what the superintendent will explain is that there's an affordable housing committee, and the mayor rightfully thought that there should be someone from the school board advising on that, no different than the school board appointee to the planning commission because it will set policy. I was interested and would love to have served because, as you know, I've talked about the importance of workforce housing and how we can incentivize that specifically for our teachers. But I'm certain that there are others who can take that mantle, but regrettably I cannot.
We did sell this, and when I tell you we sold it to even include how you had made comments about affordable housing for teachers and how we were going to work
And
this
my career in affordable
and that
housing.
whole thing. We just spread out his whole resume, and now we're back at the start. So Mr. Superintendent doesn't get excited also, but did you hear how excited he got
was
there? I tell
you
what,
both
he-
were.
well, yeah, we should have been. I mean, we were representing down there. Okay, so now. Oh, and Ms. Williams is looking at me strange. So at some point, we're going to have to come back and make a decision about who will represent us on that committee. The invitation has been extended to us by the mayor of the city. So I guess we don't have to do it tonight, Mr. Superintendent.
No, ma'am.
Just think about that, and we'll offer. Yes, Ms.
Does it have to be a board member, or it can be
I
an
don't-
appointee that with expertise that understands education, maybe?
Well,
I
housing.
think there. Well, no, because the others are elected from their
Okay.
They are.
respective
Okay.
jurisdictions.
And we'll bring a little bit more information about it once we get that. How about that? Oh, man. Okay. Got that from the kids, too. Oh, man. Okay. The reports from board liaisons. Just before we get to superintendent's reports, may I just say, today, the superintendent and his staff and I and others went over to Godby High School to award the
Glenn Howell Distinguished
Glenn Howell
Educator.
Minority Educator of the Year to Miss Chelsea Johnson, an outstanding incoming teacher. She attended the schools of Leon County. I knew her when she was at Griffin, then at Godby, and now she's graduated, and now she is this wonderful, wonderful teacher, and one day is going to continue to make all of us proud. Her parents were there. Committee members from the selection committee were all present, and it was just a wonderful thing. So I expect that we'll be hearing more from her a little bit later. Ms. Rasmussen?
Just real quick, did I see where our former student school board member LaCrae Mitchell was on the selection committee for that, I think? I'm pretty sure I saw that. Anyway, point is,
Okay.
you just never know where you're going to
That's
land.
right. Then we'll have to, continue that. All right. Superintendent's comment?
Well, I can check that one off as well.
Oh, sorry.
So,
No,
no, how about
Ms.
this? How
Johnson.
about just a reminder that also at Amos P. Godby High School,
Yep.
Miss Althea Valet was the Teacher of the Year.
I saved
and
that
Mr.
one for
Lester
you.
Stevens was a School-Related Employee of the Year, longtime employee, I believe about 40 years at Chairs Elementary School,
Yes.
continuing to keep that campus beautiful as always. And then a shout out to our own Miss Arsha Harris for being recognized as an MLK Dreamer and Doer on our virtual ceremony
Wonderful.
recently.
Yeah, we know
Congratulations,
that.
Miss Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Harris is also employed at a local restaurant. If you'd like to visit her, I'm sure she'd be happy to tell you which restaurant that is. It was very nice to see her working. I'm sure her parents are very happy and proud of her. And then finally, Miss Ariana Qualo, named by Heaven 98.3 as a future Black leader of tomorrow. She's a senior at James S. Rickers High School and also serves on the Student Advisory Council. So congratulations to Miss Harris and Miss Qualo. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, thank you, board members. Ms. Harris, this is a little different, but tonight I'm feeling like I need to ask you, how are you feeling about being a school board member, and what are you thinking about the school board meetings and this meeting in particular? I need to hear your voice, and I think your constituents should hear your voice as well.
I think it's really cool to witness all these amazing things you guys are doing and how we're reopening. Well, we've reopened schools, and what you guys are doing to counter the virus and all that stuff. I think it's amazing to just be able to watch and then go tell people at school what's happening, because they have plenty of questions about prom and all that stuff. And I really love hearing other people from the audience come and speak and share their points. It's really cool witnessing all of this. So thank you very much.
Oh, and I need to jump in. So thank you, Arsha, for reminding me. I had a call with all the high school principals today, and they're going to be going around getting feedback from student leaders as to what types of things, like where we have we're going to contract with a company potentially to get a drone to get a big class picture for you guys. They're going to just get some feedback. Their task was to get feedback from now to spring break, and then I'll reconvene with the high school principals to see what types of things we can possibly provide you, in addition to a walk across the stage graduation ceremony at Cox Stadium. But what can we do between now and your final days with us in the middle of June? So look forward to Principal Burgess reaching out to you and the other student leaders to give us input on some things you'd like for us to consider.
Good. And as a matter of fact, Ms. Harris, since you're going to be with us here at board meetings, I think you probably ought to be prepared each night just to tell us what you think, and how we have acted and deployed ourselves. And if the superintendent has been extremely excited, and if just those kinds of things, okay?
For sure.
Thank you so much, because you're here, and I know I've been looking at you, and I can think, looks to me from her eyes that she's thinking something and wants to say something. And I need to say to you, say it if you feel it, okay? That's why you're here. And there are no wrong thoughts. Say it. That's what I do, and they just sort of talk about me anyway. But anyway, okay? All minds clear?
No, ma'am.
Oh, excuse me. New issues from board members.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Today, just so you guys are aware, the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce put on the Economic Forum, where Dr. Parrish comes and speaks from the Florida Chamber. He does it every year, and it is an amazing statistical review from the economist viewpoint. And you guys know this is where 32304. This is where it all originated 3 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
So He touched a lot on kindergarten readiness, our third grade reading scores. It was very education oriented. So I just want you guys to know, because I'm sure there'll be an article in the paper. I don't want you to be blindsided that was discussed today. He was very complimentary of Leon County. Apparently, our third grade reading scores had a vast improvement that was released last week. I don't think we've touched on that yet, but I'm sure that's going to be in some information to come out sometime. He did also touch on the fact that there were a significant fewer amount of students that were tested across our state in 2020. So he was, the main gist, the walk away was he was so encouraging of our businesses to get involved with our schools. Again, it was the push for what can you do to help a classroom, a student, a teacher, a school. What can you do? I know it is there, and this is going to help us get where we need to go. And the chamber, Sue Dick got up and was very complimentary of the board, the superintendent, and thanked us for the tremendous amount of efforts that we put into getting our kids into those classrooms this last year. So it was just a really an eye-opening day, an encouraging day for businesses to get involved with us. And I know they're in touch with Dr. Gale. We had some great conversations afterwards. So I just wanted to share that information with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Jones, yes, sir.
Madam School Board Member Strickland, do you think it would be worthwhile for Dr. Parrish to present to the board or do a workshop with us, or any engagement with the district most directly with that information, that we might be able to do something with it? It might inform our own work, particularly as we continue to talk about our own strategic planning.
I'm sure that he would be more than welcome at the invitation. He speaks around the country on this topic. He speaks in different counties. He spoke to every university president, apparently, in one setting. And it is statistics. I mean, he's an economist. He's giving you the numbers that tell the story, and it's very impactful. I'm sure he would love to, but I will tell you, everything he said today is on that floridascorecard.com.
Okay.
Yep, so it is there, and you hover over it, and it lights up and tells you, okay, yep, here's the poverty rate. Well, here's the schools in that poverty rate, and here's their grades, and here's what their population looks like. I mean, it is a very robust site that they have developed at the chamber, and it is statewide, every county, and Leon is front and center. So it's a great resource.
So I'll add to what Ms. Strickland is saying. So we have basically 5 boxes that involve education: kindergarten readiness, third grade reading scores, high school graduation rate, post-secondary attainment rate, which could be college or a technical college, Leon County poverty rate, and Leon County children in poverty. So those are the 6 boxes. There's a total of 18 boxes altogether, and 6 of the 18 involve our schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. I heard another no.
Yeah,
Mr.
Madam
Jones?
Chair,
Yes.
I just have 2 things. One, first of all, again, I thank you all for indulging me when I was a freshman and agreed to take our board meeting on the road. So thank you for your indulgence in that. I am also interested in your indulgence further. We will be discussing issues relative to capital outlay in the future. And I think it might be useful to us, if we are willing, for those who be willing to participate, such that this becomes real to us. I would like for us to consider perhaps going on, and I don't know how Ms. McKinney-Williams makes this happen, but publicly notice a field trip where we can go and see the impacts of the recommendations that the superintendent brings forward. I think that to go to these campuses and see what they're talking about, I think most of us, let me not make an assumption. I am very much naive as to some of the construction issues, renovation issues, some of the things, the challenges that the superintendent and Mr. Albritton and Mr. McQueen deal with on a daily basis. And yet we make these decisions. And I think for me, some of those decisions are made in a vacuum. And so I thought that perhaps maybe as a part of our capital outlay process, that maybe those recommendations, we might be able to vote a certain portion of the day, get in a van, and go look at what we're talking about, such that when we make those decisions, we will have some context by which that is made. Just something to think about.
It is.
and I have to make a decision now. I know the superintendent would love for us to be, guest superintendents for a day to see what he has the things that he has to deal with on a daily basis making these decisions. My final discussion is I would like for the district to find ways that we can formalize our relationships with the colleges of ed at Florida A&M University and FSU, either through memorandum of understanding, that we can talk about I think that they are a wealth of information as well as a wealth of opportunity for financing. Imagine if we were to write grants in cooperation, particularly in those areas of concern, early learning, and on a variety of other areas of interest, but the university brings the heft of its authority, we bring the heft of the authority upon the district. Those collaborations could bring us both revenue, human resources, intellectual capital that can benefit our district, and I'd like for us to talk about how we formalize that, and we can also make that a part of what now is the long laundry list of things I've recommended for strategic planning. But I'd like for us to talk about that some more. I happen to know right now that Dr. Allison Watson, the Dean of the College of Ed, is writing some fantastic grants that she's doing in cooperation with our district, but there's no context by which we are informed of that. And I don't know about you, but I would love to learn more. And were it not for my relationship with her, that's how I know these things. But I think we all should want to know that. And so I'd like for us to talk about how we formalize that, to know that the great stuff that our district as well as our community partners are doing in relationship to broadening the opportunities and horizons found for our school children.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I need to back up one second. Before if you hit the gavel, I need to apologize because I should have said this sooner. But I want to remind you all of our discussion yesterday about digital academies and closing school-based digital academies at the end of this school year. I said it to you yesterday, but I needed to say it for the public that it may still be watching, although my mother, I think, is even gone at this point. But just to remind you that our discussion yesterday that it's our intent to close school-based digital academies at the end of this school year. We've done an amazing job of giving parents and families options and keeping them connected to their home zone school or school of choice. But we certainly can't ask this lift again of our teachers moving into the fall. And for those families that are looking to continue a digital or remote option, we are bulking up everything we're doing at Leon County Virtual School, and Jessica Lowe is the school leader there. We will also be doing a survey of our parents once the school choice window closes the first 2 weeks of March, beginning next week, to kind of gauge where our students are, if this might be something that they would like to consider for the fall as we make plans for staffing. And then we'll open up an enrollment window at Leon Virtual School the first week of April. So just to remind again, we will not be operating school-based digital academies again next fall. For those families and students that really enjoy and are thriving in this type of environment, we're going to direct them to Leon Virtual School that will continue to provide that option for those families. The survey will go out the first 2 weeks of March. After spring break, we'll look at the results, look at the numbers, then open up the enrollment window at Leon Virtual School the first week of April. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier.
Don't be sorry. It's a good thing, I think. And, I will say very quickly, Mr. Jones, when I first joined this board many, many years ago, and I'm sure all of us have our freshman stories, I kept getting complaints from my constituents over at Raleigh that they couldn't see, and there were problems in the media center. And I got tired of hearing those complaints I did get tired. So I came back to the administration and the superintendent, and Danny Albritton may remember this. I carried a whole crowd over to the media center at Raleigh. They couldn't see either. Okay? And because when they couldn't see, out of that visit, we got a brand new media center at Raleigh. We may need to redo it again. So oftentimes you have to go with it when the going is good. Now that grammatically was not correct, but I think you know what I'm saying. So I don't know where we're going with your offer there, but and you know what I'm talking about. So it's just sometimes necessary. All right, Ms. Harris, did you see how I said a minute ago, if all things were clear and everybody yelled no? Watch this. All minds clear?
Yes.
We are adjourned.